Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Thursday, February the 14th, 2019, still. And so this one, we've got to own our freedom. That is part of bringing it into physicality. Yeah, because, well, A, no one's going to hand it to us. And honestly, depending on the aperture one is looking at it through, we've had it all along.
Right.
It's sort of like Dorothy in that respect. We've had the power of that all along. We just forgot, didn't remember, don't know, lulled ourselves into a false sleep, so to speak, through lots of different methods. But
well, and we're that good, we're that creative, we're that convincing, so I mean, if you ever have a doubt that you're small, not small, or thinking that you are small and there's no way that you aren't a creative being, then look around. That's how good you are.
Too true. I mean, so from the most expansive standpoint, we've always been free.
Mm-hmm.
And so the freedom exists. And this right here, this you put that beautiful, that's part of bringing it into physicality. So right this moment, there's what feels very real, enslavement. More folks feel that enslavement perhaps more than others because it's a state of mind, so to speak. It is it's a physical reality, and yet not. I don't know how, but it feels right to me that it is.
Slavery is a physical reality, and not. Is that what you're saying?
And yet not.
Right. Yeah.
And it feels confusing to even say it, and yet I feel the truth of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that goes back to, that's how good we are.
Right.
What feeling comes up for you, Lisa, around it? Is there any confusion there, internally or not?
No. I was trying to think of how would I describe what I was feeling. Well, I guess for me, the difference, okay, so we have our perception, right, that we're not free, that we're sort of trapped by what is. And that's true if you give your power to that. Because you are free to use your power in any which way you choose. So you have to choose freedom, and you have to behave as though you're free. And, that's something that I've been working out for myself for a little bit, because I felt free. I knew that I was the creator of my world, and yet I still felt trapped, right? So both things were true, but I didn't want to feel trapped anymore. So I had to unbind and unwind that within myself. And so, like, for instance, money is one of them, because, I often felt trapped by lack of money, which is really, really silly when you think about what money is. So what I had to do, really silly, was
Yeah.
not, was to unbind and unwind that for myself, and to create relationship with money now. So now it's on my terms. Nothing traps me. If I interact with money, I do so in a way that makes me feel empowered, that helps me to accomplish a goal. So for me, it is a mindset. You are either, in the slavery mindset or freedom. I think, because both are true in reality.
Right.
You are free to create a slave master scenario all you want. The trouble is, I don't want it anymore, and I'm sure that at one point I did, because it served me to do so, and it doesn't serve me anymore.
Right.
So I'm putting it down, and that's not been as easy as I thought it was. Actually.
Yeah, beautifully said. I mean, just beautifully said. And one of the conundrums is that, and it's not just money. I mean, that's the one that people can, they hoist the petard of money and they start wagging it around, but time is another one.
Yes.
Freedom is another one. Freedom to make choice, freedom to not feel under the thumb, so
Right.
we hold it in different ways. They're all the same frequency. And we've got to individually and collectively, and more are collectively choosing that, because more and more are individually choosing to choose our freedom and to own it. I mean, that's really what it is to own it. So what does it mean to own something? And I'm not saying, well, I own that car, or I own that dog over there. Well, I don't own Keegan in any way, shape, or form. We're partners, and we're subject to one another, and we take care of one another. But there's not that. So when I'm talking about we've got to own our freedom, there's a true connection there. There's a true meeting of minds. There's a true coherence in that. That's the full extent of the frequency, the vibration of owning it, where it's palpable, and it's not only is there a presence to it, and that the co-creation between me and whatever that is that I'm owning, right? I'm owning up to it. I'm owning the connection. I'm owning the power of it. I'm owning my own power. I'm owning the respect for myself and my capabilities, my responsibility, my being responsible to that which I create, encounter, co-create with. It would be other ways, to say it. And when we do that, when I do that, it really does shift things. It shifts things in the way I feel. It shifts things in kind of the errant thoughts that float by. They change dramatically. So there was a good section of my life where I had money. I worked and I had money and I created things, and, in the linear game, net worth and all that, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't easy. I mean, there were so many things that I gave up, or was short shrift, or basically was not owning. I mean, I didn't own and respect and value myself and what I was here to really do, and all that kind of stuff. And then there was, as I started to unravel all of that, you could say, well, the having money just went right out the window, And there was a time when I thought, well, hang on a minute here. Wait, I'm taking umbrage at this whole thing that's going on here because I'm doing everything I thought I was supposed to be doing, right? There seems to be a disconnect here because, like, I don't feel free, and then I don't. So all these things that some people may right now be asking about this conversation.
Yeah.
And so that's where I grokked, like, because the anvil hit me on the head. Maybe it was the 52nd millionth time that it did. I was like, hey, that's a light bulb I should pay attention to. That it wasn't an intellectual exercise. It was an actual being and connected way to be in the world. It was a frequency thing. Mm-hmm. And so after I went through the gyration, because I had to clean things up, that I felt more, again, from one perspective, I could say less free and less at any peace with money or any of those kinds of things. So more enslaved to money and lack of freedom and all that kind of stuff. But that was another way of honing and cleaving and polishing this just spectacular piece of Connemara marble that was being polished to reveal, really the essence of who I was. And then, and along the journey, I would meet some people and say, well, I have whatever I need. And I'm thinking, okay, how do you do that? Or they'd say, well, I don't worry about money, and I know I'm free, but, and I'd point out something, but, there's this, or there's that, or there's the money thing, or there's this, and that, is not something that I connect with, that I concern myself with. And it was fascinating because I've always been incredibly right brain and left brain. So part of me's going, yeah, cool. Okay. I got that. I got the feeling of that. I could see this. I can try this on. I can kind of, I can do that. And the other part of me's going, what are you possibly talking about? You're cranky. You're nuts. Come on, give me a break. And this is this is not two different people. This is right in here. Okay. And I thought, we got to get together on this. And so I would ask questions, but then I would turn and say, okay, well, and I'd have these conversations with myself. So both sides of me were doing this. And the linear part would have this great idea we needed to work more, do this or do that. And, okay, well, great, let's try it. No, it didn't work. And so now I've come to the other side where I'm one of those gifted people or frigging annoying people, depending on one's perspective, that there is that flow. And I couldn't get to the flow of the freedom or the time and all these are wholly inaccurate linear words, or the money, until I went through the process. And it just flows. It's like all of whatever you want to characterize the different aspects of, it's all, a good term to use is they're all non-depletion. And occasionally there is the time one occasionally still wants to come out and play with me. And usually I recognize it for wanting to come out and play. And there's more that, there's still a little bit left here and there that can be polished off. And as soon as I do that, something else that, because it's usually around the job thing, or something from the job all of a sudden will show up and say, well, I think you should go leave for 4 hours. And I'm busting out laughing because I've just had this whole conversation with me and this whole, flicking this stuff off, flicking that stuff off. And I don't ask for anything. I don't, a lot of people around there can't share much with, I don't have to, because this non-depletion account just brings them right in front of me and says, Bye. Go away. So all of that is just an example that when people say, well, you don't understand. Yeah, I do. Because I've traveled the road, and since I took umbrage at the whole, you've got to own your freedom, I traveled a lot of different routes on that. And, went around those exchanges on the highway where they loop and they weave, and you can get on, it's an exchange, I think, where you can get on, you're on one main thoroughfare and you get this highway going north or west, or, so I would, like in Atlanta, I'd spin on all those roads going around forever, and then finally, get back where I was going. But it has to be, not because I say so. What I found out for myself, so I just share mine, is that it has to be at the auspices of yourself. So it was at me. It was at the commitment of me. It was at just saying, okay, I release everything. I don't want to struggle anymore because I'm miserable already, so it couldn't get any more miserable. I mean, the suckitude quotient is right out of the roof, stratospheric. Maybe I could try something a little different. And the funny thing is that as I started to do that, I mean, everything changed in little ways and giant ways, and very, very quickly. Of course, I had so much involved in the suckitude quotient that, there's been a journey that's taken a little bit of quote unquote time. But right now, to me, what is fascinating and so exciting, having been someone who's been on those exchanges and the highway and, with flat tires and all the different metaphors, many years ago, that right now is such a wondrous opportunity. And yes, the fact that there's chaos and it's stressful and that it's crumbling and that it seems like it's taking forever is not lost to me, but that's part of excuse me, that's part of the brilliance. Because in the moment of choosing, in the moment of owning that freedom, have you ever seen, it snows on my mind because we've had 3 feet of snow in 2 days. Here. But have you ever seen, I think there's might be some kind of like a car game or race or something, but a big plow goes in it, and it goes to a big snowbank and it just can burst. It's punching a hole through it, like a plow came and it plowed the main road, and someone's driveway is there, and there's bank thing, and if someone could just but that's what this moment that we're in right now is like. As soon as we own that freedom, which means all of the other things that are kind of nested in that, so time or money or this or that or rules or job or whatever, there's all sorts of them, and but we can bust right through that. And yeah, sure, we still have a little bit of snow on us, right? I mean, feet may be a little bit cold but then we can go, oh yeah, look, hey, the road's pretty clear there. It might be an icy patch here and there, a little bump kind of a thing, but we get us through. So to use the metaphor of the road, we either shovel out that block between our driveway or our side road and the main thoroughfare. We hire someone to help do it. And what would be the metaphor? Well, that could be that we're hiring ourselves, our higher selves, our soul, to that's actually a good metaphor, to take control and do it, to plow the road for us. So if you have a driveway and you can't get out because there's this berm of snow, but it's free out there, you can see, annoying people like me driving by and, hey, how'd they get out there on that road? Well, what's the deal, right? So you can't shovel because you feel it, right? So you hire someone to shovel it for you or to break it through, right? To remove the blocks. Well, you got one. You don't stand over their shoulder going, well, you're not doing it right. I mean, maybe you could, or you missed a spot or whatever. No, you have come to an agreement. You commit to this other being, right? And you do what you need to do to be part of that building relationship, and the block's gone and you can get out. And you still have to navigate, and you got to get used to, okay, now you're driving on the snow, you got to get used to that, or the different rings, or someone else who maybe is not paying attention and they put part of their wheel on the road up a ways, right? So that's a good analogy from a physical, because everybody's been, or they've seen video if they haven't physically been in snow themselves, that these things happen, or sand stuck in the sand or something like
that. Right. Well, a lot of what was coming in for me as I was listening to the two of you is that everyone has their own definition of freedom, and it will look and feel different for each being. I'm certain of that. Based on one's own experiences of that word or their thoughts and feelings about that word. And because there's tons of folks who think because they live in the United States that they're free. And again, it is also a matter of perception. Always, it's a matter of each being's perceptions. So mileage absolutely will vary, but there feels to be some pretty huge first steps, and that is asking, what is freedom to me? And then feeling into what that is for each.
Yeah, and this is probably a good place to insert this here, because we were playing with the different things that we could play with, and they were all big chunks, and I've been metaphorically and physically shoveling a lot of snow today, so I only have enough gas in my snow shovel tank to do so much. But so this one is kind of like setting the table or gearing up the snowplow, or however, whatever metaphor you want to use to do it. And so you bring up a good point of how are you going to start, so we're all going to play together. We're all going to play for a couple of conversations. We'll do them fairly close together and fairly quickly, and keep each one, even though they're all huge, kind of condense them a bit. But if you want to play for your own self, for what you're looking around in your own world, that that you don't feel free because of whatever the list is, and it's because it is a big topic. So take some moments when you come into this energetic envelope and play with yourself to look around. So how many times a day are you feeling that you're hampered? Are you feeling that you're rebuffed or stuck or in a pinch, or lots of different words, because they mean different things to different people, and you could use all of them because they may mean various things, and so each one will have, that's a money thing, that's a time thing, that's a this thing, right? So play with that. And just like I could say, there's some things, well, you need to have X, Y, and Z, but if it's snowing and you're all set and you're warm and you're cozy, well, you really don't need this or that, for right this moment. You can move through. So again, it's breaking through the perceptual barrier Or the other thing is the whole thing, which was involved a whole country with the shutdown of the government in the U.S. Well, we need government, but it was 800,000 employees. Well, that's a lot of people that are supposed to be doing a lot of stuff. And yes, there were specific things to TSA. They were very specific things, actually, on purpose, areas that were shut down. And except for the beings who may have had a job there, and it wasn't loss of pay, it was delayed in getting paid because they all, got paid even though they didn't work. So, and if you need the check, I've been there, still I'm there sometimes, that it's frightening, but nonetheless, it was a very good, tangible way to see that there are whole swaths of things that are there that we don't need. And some will say, well, just on that, because it's the who will take out the garbage thing. Well, but a job. Well, if everything is changing, and there are things that are already changed about redoing the connections with people, redoing the connections with other countries, redoing trade, redoing how we interact with each other as individuals, as communities, as states, as countries, right? As community members on this planet, as community members that are galactic community members, because that's really what we're talking about. It's not just, this little tiny thing here. So yeah, everything is going to change. And it's so much more spectacular than even in the warmest, fuzziest we could possibly imagine. But we need to bust through some of our perspective berms that we've got. So what are the different ways that either the two of you have played already, or that you're thinking come up to play to get ready to kind of have this, what do you call it? It's, like there's a mini series, right? So a mini series of these kinds of things. Is it around sovereignty? I want to be sovereign in my own thing. And what does that really mean? And what is freedom? And what does that mean to me? And what do I do every day? Where's my energy flow every day in owning my freedom and my sovereignty and all of those other words I may have, or not, or giving it away, or not even being in the same neighborhood of awareness around it. Respect is another one. I'm disrespected. Do you respect yourself? So it's funny that, on the one hand, these are big subjects with money. Well, no, that's a serious topic. That's a big thing. Yes. But it's an external euphemism for that which is an internal frequency. And you shift the frequency, and the euphemism disappears. And there's nothing airy-fairy about it, because I've done it. On the tangible, touchable reality way.
Well, so you touched on it again. This is such a huge conversation overall, and we are just setting the table for it. But coming to the knowledge and feeling that it is so, that I am the value of the basis of money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Having that on board, in terms of sovereignty, if you don't, for me, if I don't think I quite grokked all of it until, like I said, when I started becoming involved with you, with Heather, with her material, and really finally saw all of that. The magnitude of that realization that is everything. That is everything. Oh gosh, I can't even, it's so huge. I get lost in it. It's so huge. But that's not something anyone can hand me.
No.
In any way, shape, or form. I am the only one that can grok that, feel it, own it, step into it, and know that that is so. You can tell me all day long. That means nothing until I grasp it and really grok it. And the sheer enormity that washes over me when I start feeling into that, and the realization that there is no sovereignty if it is handed to you. It's
right.
just
That's right.
And if it were handed to you, different, same girl, different party dress in every shape, form.
Yeah. If you don't own it, then it's not yours. If you don't own it, then someone can always take it away and give you a different party dress. When you own it, it is intrinsic to you. It is in the very fiber, breath, being of all that is you. It can never be taken away. Never. Does it take some work to get to, yeah, you bet. On the one hand, you could say it is simple. It really is simple. We make it too friggin' complicated. It's part of the programming. It's part of the training. It's part of the entrenchment. Absolutely. Is it excruciatingly difficult? You bet. You absolutely friggin' yes. It doesn't have to be. But again, we make it individually that difficult. But there are some absolute no-fail tools. And one of them is to open your heart. Notice. For me, I would say open your heart, notice, and play. And not in any particular order, in all of that order, in that exact order, in reverse order, in reconfigured order, depending on what moment it is that you're doing it and what you're experiencing. And one thing for me that to kind of set the, maybe it's the ping pong table that you're playing on, if you're feeling that you're not free, well, you're already feeling you're not free, so hey, can't get any more not free. So change something else, or that you're under the thumb or under the gun, or you're not sovereign, or those kinds of things. But none of this is external to us. It's all an inside job. And you could say, on the one hand, none of this clicks in, locks in, shows up, manifests, materializes without us doing the work. None of it. And the really cool part is when you play in this, when you fully, absolutely, committedly play with this, there's no work involved at all.
Yeah, that is a bit of a misnomer. You know, yes, sometimes it might feel a little. I guess it all depends on how you hold it too.
You're talking about, someone just asked a question, you're talking about how it may feel a little like work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that for
Yeah.
And again, that's just your attitude that you take to it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
I've never had more fun ever.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. You know, it's not always been altogether pleasant, but for the most part, you know.
No, but getting to the bottom of things and discovering my own truth about a thing has been really, really delightful.
It's astonishing.
Yeah, the more I find out about myself, the more
It's just astonishing. It's, I'll use a metaphor, but if you, it could be anything, but crystals have been playing with me a lot lately, so they come to mind. But if you could look at a bunch of crystals that are right, maybe someone has or you have, or you could go look at a book. I suppose you could go to a crystal show or something, or hell, you could probably go to eBay or something, right? Look at it. And the variety of the way that they look and how they present, and then how, when you're encountering, so I was doing it the other day because I was nudged to go look, and I thought, okay. So I was looking at some photographs of a couple different listings. I just randomly was nudged to type in a word. And some of these, I'm familiar with some crystals and use them a lot, but I never heard of these. And anyway, so a listing of different auctions would come up, and something, I was nudged to look at one thing, so I looked up what it was, and I didn't remember it. So I was, okay, well, that sounds kind of cool. And so then I put that in to look for the listing, and I got some things. And in looking at something completely, and I thought, wow, that looks like it's from another planet. Or I go, wow, look at the fairies in that. Or I went, wow, there are hearts in everyone. And the more I looked at the different photographs, there were all of these hearts that appeared within this one crystal. And I thought, and the reason that I bring that up, well, first of all, it was really cool, but it's a great metaphor for the things that we reveal to ourselves as we begin to notice, and this is particularly with ourselves, are astonishingly beautiful, astonishingly complex, astonishingly marvelous, astonishingly wild, the gyrations and the extent that we go through, if we're corkscrewing down this one road on, I am not free, or whatever it is around the negative part of something. It's astonishingly beautiful how the complexity and the fierceness we will cling to. Hey, I was good at it. That we will cling to these different things. It's really very cool. Because there's such power there, such brilliance and fortitude and steadfastness, all focused in a negative way, mind you. But as soon as we flip that, turn that, refocus that, oh my God, we've got the most amazing tools and tricks and special superpowers. It's astonishing.
No, agreed. Agreed. Well, I love the way that Sophia Love finishes almost all of her writings with "We are the ones we've been waiting for," and she's not wrong at all. And we just have to own that.
Yeah.
Which speaking as one who's been really hard on themselves, and therefore others in her field. I mean, it's okay that it took me this long to get that. And I'm okay with that because obviously it wasn't my time yet to get that. And I'm all right with that. I am totally all right with right where I am at the moment. I may sometimes get frustrated, but I'm still okay with where I am. And I don't know. I just feel like stepping into the knowing that I'm the one in charge of this seat and how it goes is very empowering, as opposed to feeling as though someone else is in charge of that.
Yeah. Because you can't deflect anymore. You can't push off the responsibility. And that's, of course, an oxymoron then, isn't it? If you're, because you brought up, and this is one of the things we'll go in the mini series is, stepping out of the sovereign armchair and all that kind of stuff. You can't be sovereign if you're waiting for someone else to do it for you.
Right.
Well, yeah, that has really come up for a lot for me. And that's what really drew me to this entire conversation, honestly, is that, we have, and I, for a long time, thought that too. Well, we're just waiting until so-and-so gets off their butts and does something, I suppose, because I don't have any power over here. And are we there yet kind of thing? Right. And really this came up because of the questions I was asking myself and some of the answers I was getting from me in regards to, well, is that sovereignty? So, yeah.
And replace sovereignty. It's a good one. It's a good whole thread. It's a good thing. And the energetic of true sovereignty, just like the energetic of true love, is up and here and is not leaving. But it's not warped like the lower frequencies have warped and distortion on the sovereignty. That's the linear base. But you can replace that word with time. You can replace that word with freedom. You can replace that word with money. You can replace it with, you don't understand, because all of those hold the same frequency.
Mm-hmm.
They all are self-imposed limitations. The perception colors your perspective. And you're the one who holds the paintbrush and has the palette, chooses how you mix the colors.
Well, there's certainly in terms of responsibility, liability, and accountability, those are not things that well, I mean, it's a whole mindsets seem to be like, well, it's not me. I didn't do that. I'm not responsible for that. I didn't do that kind of thing. And when it comes to me, it's always been, well, anytime I'm looking outside of myself or pointing the finger out there, there's always some fingers pointing back, but nobody ever really thinks about that. And so I don't know, it's just that, I'm not saying it properly.
Well, it's the whole complicit in.
Right. I think you said it actually best earlier about there's no more deflecting. You cannot deflect.
Right.
Waiting for so-and-so down the street to do something to fix this mess.
Yeah, let's get those ETs and come on down. You know,
or the alliance, or
and
does it?
Non-interference cause it can't. We need to own it for ourselves. We're not learning anything, and this is a big and a we're ripe then to just have it done to us all over again because we haven't learned a bloody thing.
It's the same scenario.
Well, yes, but that's that now, and then that's the thing that I feel I wanted to make sure for myself. I certainly don't want that again.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it's that kind of thing that you're right. That makes it ripe for it to just happen all over again. All but we change those words. Sort of like democratic socialism.
Yeah, or throw quantum on the beginning or the end of another,
Oh yeah, are you? I know of what you speak. I know, I've heard that same thing. Oh, let's throw that word quantum on the front end of financial system, and that'll make it all good.
I thought it wasn't already.
Yeah, then your woundness and boundness will be in multiple dimensions and that. Well, it already is. So, anyways, that's an old trick.
Well, yes, and yes, exactly. I know I keep hearing things, all kinds of things like that being thrown around, the revalue and the RV and new systems and things like that, and it is always all just felt like same girl, different party dress up the words, and it's really the same playbook all over again. And I've been seeing. Say what?
I was just going to say you're right, and if it isn't, there's there's a simple litmus test that I use, and a short way I would describe it is I feel into it. But to go a little bit more linear is it expansive? Are there all sorts of regulations and stipulations and, well, you can have this if you do this and not this or that? Well, that's limitation. That's not abundance. That's not expansion. That's not for all. So then that's just more of the same old stuff. I'm unlimited, so I'm done with the gig of limiting myself because I was really good at it, and don't choose to do that anymore. And I choose whatever way that I can be of assistance that is in the non-interference to help all others who want to play in that. Absolutely. But even if I wanted to, and I don't, but even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it for anybody else. Can't. It doesn't work. It's an illusion. It's just as big an illusion as what a bank is, what the justice system is, what jails are, what the school system is, what the child protective services is, all of that. What two-party political system in the United States is. It's all an illusion.
Yeah. Well, like we said, this is a much larger conversation that we will be having over the course of the next couple of times. Just know, for me, knowing that I am the value, and each one of us, I feel everyone will eventually get to that if they haven't already. It's easy for me, the easiest route for me to see that was knowing that, well, what do you do for your money? You give, you're working, you're doing time, you're you're doing most of the time something you don't enjoy and wouldn't do otherwise. For me, that was the easiest thing to see. But and it goes beyond that, I feel, way beyond that. So it's really not all that hard to see that we are the value.
Mm-hmm. And how many countries are on the planet, and how many different kinds of money, which are called what? Currency?
Yeah.
On the planet. And the currency of all the beings' frequencies on the planet. And what you will discover here, just one last touch on this, because I guess the linear me can't resist. What will be revealed here very soon is the breadth and depth. I spoke about it a lot, but the breadth and depth, scope, the far-reaching, and the inclusion of just about every household name of company and system and structure that's been involved in the harvesting and the financial slavery system on this planet, that is a mechanism for huge black market or black trade or black energy off planet in a myriad of other worlds, is huge. I mean, it's a thriving multi universal industry, and it's starts around that which is called a human being, and the currency and the frequency that they hold from their DNA all the way up.
Yeah, that feels multi-layered too. Whenever you were just bringing in the word currency, that is all I could see. That is all I could feel, because that is what I know I am.
Mm-hmm.
I feel my energy running through. It's that circle in the middle I feel is a representational of my vessel, and then the brighter in the midst I feel is my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that energy, that currency of which is being harvested.
Mm-hmm.
And through not just the money system, but and so during that entire thing that you were speaking there about, that was all I could see. And so getting a handle on, or I should say grokking for myself, that when you're speaking of this harvesting that's going off the planet, and how it's all revolving around the human being, it is because while we may not fully grok it yet, that is what we are. And that is the truth of who we are. And our energetics, we are magic. Mm-hmm. All of that is real. And that is, and they, that ubiquitous they, know that.
Yeah. And so, chuckle at every turn when we're small, we're puny, we can't do anything, we're slaves, we can't do anything, help us.
Yeah. See those boobs over there that we convinced that they're small? Oh, yeah. And that's why it feels like, as some folks have played spiritual whack-a-mole most of their life, because they kind of were getting the feel of that, and not quite sure what's going on, just long enough to get smacked down again. Oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. You didn't see that. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because and you know, we've passed beyond you know, a common way. The last thing I'll finish up for me here is that a common way is that it's hidden in plain sight. Yes, and everything is not, you know, what it seems. Yes, but we've crossed the threshold. We have ignited to such an extent that light within each of us, whether we know it or not, understand it or not, or believe it or not, doesn't matter, because that's the part of you that's feeling, sensing, saying that, fighting with that, being fierce about that, holding on to that, dragging your feet with that, you know, is just an infinitesimal aspect of that which is you, and the you knows it, right? So we've passed that threshold, and that light within us is expanding and exploding and igniting in such a force that, you know, and this is one of the ones that's come in to talk about, but it's you know, you could just to use as a metaphor only, you have the Big Bang, you know, where everything began in the Big Bang. Yeah. Everything, just go with it. Everything began in the Big Bang, right? You know, and so what I'm talking about in that, using that as a metaphor, the Big Bang collapsed into each being, and the ignition point, the light that burst forth, is the true new Big Bang, and this ain't a metaphor, that's going forth throughout all of Source's multiverses.
Yep. Absolutely. Agreed.
But that's a whole other topic.
Yet and again.
Well, keep talking, lady.
Well, do either one of you have anything you'd like to add to this particular energetic envelope?
I would say if this is something that interests people or frustrates people or stymies people, or hey, they just discovered that, wow, it doesn't stymie me anymore, any and all of those different configurations, then get you know, send an energetic signal, send a comment, send a whatever, and you know, if you want to interject where your frustration, you'd like us to weave that into the mini series, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I would love anyone and everyone, always, on any one of these energetic envelopes, always you feel led to share, comment, question, always.
But respect yourself and respect others, and own the truth of who you are, and do the same for others when you do that. It doesn't mean agreeing, it just means what it means.
Awesome. So we will have all the usual things in all the usual places in the share more section of this video. And so until next time.